In the heart of the Yoruba land, nestled in the fertile hills of Igbeyin, there lived a maiden named Adunni. She was known throughout the kingdom for her beauty, wisdom, and grace. Her skin glowed like the evening sun, and her voice was as soothing as a gentle breeze. Suitors from far and wide came to seek her hand in marriage, drawn by tales of her unmatched virtues. But Adunni's heart belonged to a prince, a man she could never marry according to the strict customs of the land. In Yoruba land, the tradition was clear. When a woman of great beauty and stature reached the age of marriage, her suitors had to prove their worth on the battlefield. It was not merely a test of physical strength, but of bravery, strategy, and the ability to protect and provide. The victor of this battle would earn the right to marry the maiden, and his victory would be celebrated by the entire kingdom. Adunni knew of this custom well, and it filled her heart with dread. Though 6 men had declared their intent to fight for her, none of them held a candle to the prince who had stolen her heart. The first of the 6 suitors was Adebayo, a wealthy trader whose wealth was known across the land. He had a heart as generous as his purse, always giving to those in need. Yet despite his riches, Adunni found him lacking in spirit. The second was Olayemi, a hunter with unmatched skills. His prowess in the forest was legendary, but Adunni found his rough manner and love for the wild unsettling. The third suitor, Sola, was a farmer whose hands had tilled the earth and brought forth abundant harvests. His connection to the land was deep, yet Adunni felt no connection to his heart. The fourth suitor, Jid, was a warrior who had fought many battles and brought honor to his family. Though strong and valiant, his harsh nature scared Adunni. The fifth, Tunde, was a storyteller whose tales captivated everyone who heard them. He could weave words into the most beautiful tapestries, yet Adunni found his charm superficial. The last suitor was Adekunle, a scholar who spent his days studying ancient texts. His wisdom was vast, but his mind was too buried in books to understand the matters of the heart. As Adunni compared each of these men, her thoughts always drifted back to the prince. Adunni had met Prince Olumide by chance at a festival in a neighboring kingdom. He was different from any man she had ever known, gentle yet strong, thoughtful yet decisive. They had spoken at length about their dreams and fears, and Adunni had felt an instant connection. But as a prince, Olumide was bound by royal customs, and one of the most unbreakable rules was that no prince could fight on the battlefield for a woman's hand in marriage. It was a custom meant to protect the royal bloodline from unnecessary danger. Prince Olumide was torn. He knew the customs, but he also knew that Adunni was the woman he wanted to spend his life with. He had tried to persuade his father, the king, to make an exception, but the king was firm. A prince must not engage in such contests, the king said, for it would bring dishonor to the throne. Olumide was heartbroken, but he could not disobey his father. He shared this with Adunni, and they both wept for the love that seemed impossible. Each night, Adunni cried herself to sleep, praying to the gods to make a way for her and Olumide. She would go to the shrine of Yemoja, the mother of all waters, and pour out her heart. "Please, O divine mother," she would whisper, "let my love for Olumide not be in vain." Despite the uncertainty, Adunni's faith remained strong. She believed that somehow, against all odds, Olumide would find a way to be with her. The day of the battle arrived, and the whole kingdom gathered to witness the contest. The 6 suitors stood on the battlefield, ready to fight for the right to marry Adunni. The air was thick with tension as they prepared to prove their worth. Adunni watched from a distance, her heart heavy with sorrow. She knew that no matter who won, her heart would never belong to any of them. As the battle began, she closed her eyes and whispered one last prayer. Adebayo, the wealthy trader, was the first to fall. His riches could not save him from the swift strikes of Olayemi, the hunter. But Olayemi's victory was short-lived as he was soon outmaneuvered by Sola, the farmer, whose strength was rooted in the earth. The battle raged on, with each suitor falling to the next. Jid, the warrior, proved to be the fiercest, defeating both Sola and Tunde. But just as Jid was about to be declared the victor, something extraordinary happened. Out of nowhere, a figure appeared on the battlefield. It was Prince Olumide, clad in armor, his eyes blazing with determination. The crowd gasped in shock, for they knew the king's decree. Yet there he was, ready to fight for the woman he loved. Without hesitation, Olumide challenged Jide, and the two men engaged in a fierce battle. Adunni's heart raced as she watched, unable to believe what she was seeing. The clash between Olumide and Jide was unlike anything the kingdom had ever seen. Jide fought with the ferocity of a lion, but Olumide was driven by love, a force stronger than any other. Blow after blow, the two men tested each other's limits, but in the end, it was Olumide who emerged victorious. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Adunni's heart soared. The prince had defied all odds to be with her. When the battle ended, all eyes turned to the king. He was known as a ruler who valued tradition above all else, and no one knew what he would do. The silence was deafening as the king rose from his throne. But then, something miraculous happened. The king looked at his son, then at Adunni, and smiled. "Love has triumphed today," he declared. "And as king, I cannot stand in the way of true love. Prince Olumide, you have won the right to marry Adunni." The kingdom was abuzz with excitement as preparations for the royal wedding began. Adunni and Olumide could hardly believe their good fortune. They spent their days together, planning their future and dreaming of the life they would build. The 6 suitors, though disappointed, accepted their defeat with grace. They had fought bravely, and now it was time to move on. The day of the wedding was a grand affair. The entire kingdom gathered to celebrate the union of Adunni and Prince Olumide. The ceremony was held at the palace, adorned with the finest decorations. Adunni looked resplendent in her bridal attire, and Olumide stood tall and proud by her side. As they exchanged vows, there was not a dry eye in the crowd. After the wedding, Adunni and Olumide settled into their new life as husband and wife. They were blessed with children and lived in peace and happiness. The kingdom of Igbeyin continued to flourish under their rule, and their love story was told for generations. In the end, Adunni's faith and the prince's courage had brought them together, proving that true love can overcome any obstacle. Adunni and Olumide's story became a legend in Yoruba land, a tale of love, bravery, and the power of prayer. It was said that their love was blessed by the gods, and their descendants carried that blessing with them. And so, the story of Adunni and Prince Olumide was passed down through the ages, reminding all who heard it that true love always finds a way. The end.